Hi, I'm Chef Alan Tatro with Global Sugar Art, and I'd like to welcome Amber Rudder back to the Global Sugar Art Kitchen. Amber is from Magic Chocolate, and in a previous video with Amber here, she showed us how to use this wonderful product to cover a cake. And it was an amazing video. You have to watch it. This is a great product. Today, Amber is going to show us how to do bows and how to do roses and teach you what a wonderful flexible and unique product this is and all the different things you can do with it. So I'm going to turn this right over to you, Amber, and let's make some bows.
Okay, absolutely. Make
Color.
bows with Magic Chocolate. Oh, color.
Yeah,
well,
let's pick a color.
I would go with purple, but thank you,
all right.
Okay. The thing I like to, when I'm trying to explain to people how wonderful using Magic Chocolate is for bows, is I remind them of the process with other products. When you make a bow with fondant or gum paste, the first thing you need to do is make it in advance and then prop it up and allow it to dry.
Right. It's a long process.
Well, it is, and it's definitely something
I'll do some of that for you while you're talking.
Absolutely.
We're just breaking this down. We're not kneading it. We're just sort of breaking it.
Right. You want to avoid this technique. That's more of a fondant technique, and that will add too much heat to the product.
Yeah, too much heat from your hand. Yep.
Now, the good thing about it is if you find yourself making your sculptures or your bows or your flowers with Magic Chocolate and it's too soft, you've not ruined it. You just leave it alone for a few minutes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's very forgiving. It's very hard to ruin Magic Chocolate.
Do you have problems working in a warm kitchen with this, or does it work pretty well?
Well, you definitely want low 70s is ideal. Warmer than that, it's going to be softer. Much cooler than that, it's going to take a lot more.
Any product will be. Even fondant is difficult to work with in an 80-degree kitchen.
Well, we tell people it's all up to you. It's definitely something you have to be careful from in the heat, but at the point where it starts to get a little iffy with Magic Chocolate, it's starting to get iffy with any product.
True.
Now what I'm doing, because we did not knead it with our hands, I'm going to run it through the pasta roller several times. This actually is, thanks sir, this is actually smoothing and further combining, breaking down the product, as Chef Alan said, without adding heat from our hands. So this is taking the place of this.
Okay.
You could certainly do this with a rolling pin or whatever you like to use to roll out your product.
So if you were coloring some white Magic Chocolate, would you sort of use the same process and just keep folding it and running it through the machine so you don't heat it up?
Absolutely. Now, if you're using like a gel color, it just depends on how soon you need to use the product.
Okay.
Because when you mix the color in with your hands, you're softening the product most likely a little more than you need to. So I would do that in advance, maybe an hour in advance to allow it to completely rest and firm up. This, you can, and we do, mix gel color through. You just have to clean up your pasta roller because you'll get a little gel in it.
Sure.
Now, if you're combining two colors, perfect. So say I wanted a more pastel color, I could just put some of the white Magic Chocolate with it and run that through the roller several times, and that's beautiful.
Can you do a marbled effect with Magic Chocolate?
Absolutely.
So how do you do it with this?
You would just combine. Let's see. Let's give you a quick.
I had to ask, didn't I?
I gotta prove it. You could just take whatever colors and, with marbling.
Just keep folding it.
Yeah. You don't want to blend them.
Right.
So.
You just want it marbled. Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah. So we've done.
Wow.
We've done several colors, and then as we showed in the other video, when you smooth the seams out, that just marbles it. It works wonderful when you're marbling. So now I feel like we've got our product pretty good and worked. So I'm just going to take a small part of it, and now I like to go pretty thin. All pasta rollers are different. This one I'm going to put on a 5, which is about a medium. It's about halfway between the thickest and the thinnest.
And just so everyone knows, when you're covering a cake, we kept it about a 1. This particular Atlas pasta machine has a 0 on it, which is a wider opening to get it thinned down. But from there, I would go to a 1. On other machines, often the first setting is 1, and that's the setting you would use. That's for covering a cake. So you're down to a 5, so that's pretty thin.
Well, and I tell people if you're a beginner and you're just learning how to use a product, don't stress so much about getting it super thin.
Okay.
If you want, I would get the technique down first, and then try to work with thinner products.
So we're making a part of the bow?
You're part of the bow.
Okay, so you cut off the two sides and the bottom.
I did.
And we'll just turn this to the camera so they can see. And you didn't add anything to the cake to make it stick. It's just chocolate on chocolate.
Absolutely.
And then you're just pinching the top. Look how easy that is.
And honestly, even if this were a crusting buttercream, I normally wouldn't attach it with anything because we've got a good several inches of holding on to the top.
So you decorate right on buttercream cakes with the magic chocolate as well.
Absolutely.
I like that.
So what we've done is just one of the side straps, and we're just going to do the same thing again to get the other side. So you can tell I get it flat enough to run through the roller, but I try to avoid keeping it completely in my hands to do that. I use anything you have that doesn't add heat is definitely what you want to be using to work the product.
Wow, look at that.
So again, trimming off the edge where it will meet the board.
Now, of course, if you're a beginner and you wanted to measure this, there's no reason why you can't take the time and measure it. This product is not going to solidify quickly.
Absolutely not.
It remains very pliable for quite a while.
And I am guilty of eyeballing too much. You have hours. You have hours to play with magic chocolate.
You're just seeing if it's the same width, which God, you're good.
Okay, and then I'm just trying to get completely on the other side so they line up nicely. And I'm just going to rub it just a little bit. Try to use flat, instead, don't use fingers, you don't want to make dents.
Ball, yep, palm of your hand.
So, let me get that little crumb off. Okay, now we'll just do the front tails. So I'm going to cut just a little bit more.
I can do some of that
Thank
for
you, sir. Thank you. You did it faster than mine. Yeah, when we do this in shows and it show people what's about to happen with the actual large bow loops is one of the biggest gasp moments of the demo. It's
when I saw you do this the first time, I was amazed at how pliable the chocolate was, but within, I would say, 5 or 10 minutes of just leaving it alone, the chocolate develops a firmer consistency. So that bow now is a rather firm consistency.
Absolutely.
You could cut through it very easily with a knife. It's soft, but it will hold its shape in any weather, really. It's not going to collapse on you if you bring it into a warmer climate. It's going to stay like it is.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, within reason. You certainly wouldn't want to take it outside in the summer.
Right.
But I'm from North Carolina. We got some hot, humid summers, and that's where our bakery's located, and we have 0 incidents. Texas loves magic chocolate, so they've got North Carolina beat as far as heat. I found communication with your customer, making sure they know what they've got.
Right.
Hey, this is chocolate. You going straight home? Is your car cool? Let's see how good my eyeballing was this time. All right.
So you've got the pieces cut now for the tail. So what do you do next?
Well, it's personal preference. You could do that little V. In fact, why don't we do what we have on our display cake, just where you cut the little V notch in the end of the ribbon. And another great thing.
You gathered the end.
I did.
Yeah.
And I'm just making sure everything comes together at one, little area.
Right.
So it all is hidden in the end and looks realistic. You've got a lot of play here. You can give it a little turn. You can try to make it as realistic as you'd like.
Right.
Magic chocolate, as long as you have not overhandled it, will hold any shape you give it. It sets instantly, which you're really going to see in a few minutes when we make the main part of the bow. So again, gathering it at one end, making sure it all comes together, and just letting it
Very good.
hang any way I'd like.
All right, now the bow.
Now the good part, the really cool part. Because most, if you've ever made a bow, this is just entirely different than what people are used to. How's that for build up?
Very good.
So again, what I'm doing, I just combined some fresher with what we were working with. So instead of doing a lot of this with it and adding too much heat, I'm letting the posture roller combine the product. So I'll run it through here, 2, 3, 4. You'll be able to tell, you know, when you get that nice, uniform, smooth piece.
And you've left this on a number 5 too, so you're just putting it through pretty thin
Yeah.
every time.
Once you get it worked down, you just can continue on that same number. You know, you don't have to start with a 1, then move it to a 2, then move it every time.
Well, without the gum additives, you don't have to worry about that.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, that's great. So it's pretty
not
strong.
Yeah, it's very strong. So I think we got a nice looking piece right here. So now what I'm going to do is just...
This is a great example if you're covering like a smaller cake. This is a 9-inch, but if I were covering a 7 or 8 or a 6-inch cake, I could make one strip to go around the entire outside, and then I would only have one seam to have to heat to seal up.
Absolutely.
So you really can do a nice long strip.
You can, absolutely. And I tell people the size of the strip is up to you. The fewer strips, the fewer seams you have, the less work on the smoothing and heating. Okay, so I think out of, oh, I didn't check my width. We're good, we're good. So what I'm gonna do now is I've just cut 2 strips that I'm gonna use for the actual bow loops.
Okay.
And we'll make this guy the little knot in the end.
Okay.
So to make the bow loops, I just gather both ends, and here's where it gets real different. Instead of filling it full of cotton or something like that,
To make it hold.
I just hold the shape with my fingers, put the ends together,
And it holds.
and that's it. And now I'll just place this directly, tuck that guy under. I'll just kind of mash it to where it all gathered together.
Right.
You can fluff it up, give it whatever shape,
Nice.
and it's just going to stay. So, I mean, in my bakery,
This is amazingly quick too.
absolutely.
This is really quick.
We do not make our bow loops in advance. You know, before when I didn't have magic chocolate, I, you know, made them a day or 2 in advance, and
Yeah.
now we
Hanging them on pasta racks or something, or
Absolutely.
dowel rods to get them to dry. That's great.
just make them exactly how we're doing today in this video. Make them and put them straight on the cake.
Perfect. And now the center.
The little guy in the middle, I just tuck both ends under. Oops, there we go. Then I pinch either end just like I do the bow loops.
Okay.
I fold my front end under, so he's going to be the front. So now I'm just going to lower him where all these pieces came together and just kind of push him down a little bit. And then I'm going to give the back of this a little tuck under as well. So when it lays, it kind of hides everything where it came together.
Very good. And the bow is done.
It's
That
ready.
was easy, and that was quick. That was great. So let's do
Oh, yeah.
a scallop border on the bottom.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Get the purple off here.
Yeah. Okay, and this is some white we were working with earlier. Magic chocolate, you have a very long window. A very long window. It doesn't dry out as fast as other products. So magic chocolate's a great medium to use when you buy a new tool or a new mold and you want to practice. You can play for hours. Oh, I found some purple. You can play for hours with magic chocolate, ball it up, put it back in a container, put it in your cabinet, and you've not wasted anything. I have in dire situations, or even in demos. In demos, I demonstrate where I'll make roses, and then the second day, I'll say, these are roses I demonstrated with yesterday. Then we ball it up and make something else with it.
Make something new with it.
So, all right.
Now, one of the things you can do with magic chocolate is mold. You can use any silicone mold and mold it. And if it's a nice flexible mold, it'll pop right out. If you're working with a deeper mold, like maybe sea coral, or sometimes fish molds have these undercuts, or like a horse mold where the head is undercut into the mold. How do you handle those? Those are difficult molds to work with any product. So how would you work with them with magic chocolate?
Right, magic chocolate, like you said, I almost never use other products like cornstarch or the luster, as far as to get the design out of the mold. The few exceptions are, like you said, the ones that have where they come back under themselves, the undercuts, or your hard molds. Like a lot of people have
Right.
2 boxes in their garage
The
full
old
of
hard,
chocolate molds
yeah,
and
the old,
sucker
yeah, or
molds.
the old hard resin
Those are
molds.
great.
Yeah,
They're great.
The
and
detail in them are great.
absolutely. Now that's one of the rare occasions where I will use a little cornstarch first. And on the really hard molds, I'll just put the whole mold after I've pressed the magic chocolate in it into the freezer just a few moments, let it contract, it'll pop right out.
So I have to admit, I asked Amber if she would do this piece because I wanted to show how well luster dust or any dust that you want to use works with magic chocolate. It takes the dust beautifully, just like gum paste or fondant does.
Absolutely.
Right.
So now I'm just going to attach. Now this is a fresh piece that we just rolled out. So from experience, I know there's a little bit of tackiness to the back of this. So it is just going to grab the cake. I'm not going to have to use anything to attach it. If this cake, say I'd made this yesterday, or I made my piece ahead of time, for whatever reason I didn't feel like it would grab, again, you can use anything to attach. Crusting buttercream is my go-to because, in my bakery, it's just always there. But gel, anything you have.
Now, one of the things that I noticed Amber did when she did that other cake is you can see a very slight gap under there, and she just gently pushed that down.
Absolutely.
And it still moves because you're not really using a gum glue. This is a very movable product. It can be molded and pushed right down. That looks great.
Thank you, sir.
That looks great. That's super. And that's the finished product.
Absolutely.
Very nice. So we're going to move on and do roses.
Fantastic.
And I think you've got some color there. So we're going to do the roses now, and you've prepared the chocolate the same way you have for the ribbon and for covering the cakes, for everything. You've just worked it with the back of your hand a little bit and rolled it through. And now you're going to make the roses without any cutters. You're just going to be using your hands.
Yep.
And I just want to let everyone know, if you're not comfortable doing this by hand, it's not a comfort issue. This is an issue of skill. This takes a little bit more skill. But I do have a video out on YouTube called Chocolate Roses, and I explain in detail how to make roses using modeling chocolate with cutters. So if you're not able to do this the way Amber's going to show you, you can do it with cutters. So you have options. So go for it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. First off, I'd love to mention this color is, we achieved this color by mixing some of our pre-existing colors. So you can use gel or powder to color the white, but we got this using, I believe, a little bit of our orange with a tiny touch of pink and then some white mixed in. So to do the No Tools rose, I just take a small piece of already softened magic chocolate and I just thin out one edge all the way around.
Just pinching it.
I'm just pinching it. I don't need to make it a perfect semicircle. I'm not really worried about all the excess at the bottom. Then to begin my rose, I just on one side tightly roll that first petal to make the center.
Perfect.
Okay. The rest of the technique is almost exactly the same. Grab a blob, just pinch thin one end out. Now this is chocolate, so don't get nitpicky about it being perfect for 2 reasons. First reason, it doesn't matter. Roses aren't perfect.
That's right.
And when we shape that petal after we place it on, we're going to hide a ton of imperfections. And the second reason is the more you touch the chocolate, the softer you're going to make it. And that's just going to take practice, getting used to the product. To test and make sure you haven't over softened it, hold your petal out, and as long as it doesn't move, you're good. If it droops, you need to work on handling it less. Now when I place the first petal on, I make sure I only attach it at the very base. That gives us the opportunity to...
It almost looks like a calla lily the way you're starting.
It does. You're absolutely right. And that gives us the freedom to just shape and open up that petal any way we'd like.
Wow.
And then I just do that same exact technique over and over until I'm pleased with the way or I've reached.
While she's working on that, I'm taking one of the marvelous molds and some of the white chocolate, and I'm just going to fill this. You really can adjust those petals any way you want.
Absolutely. I can't believe you did that fast. Super easy.
Molding is super easy. And because this is a nice flexible mold and it's not a deep or a complicated mold, I don't need to freeze this at all. I can pop that right out. And that is the border that you see on the bottom of that small cake. We just put a little bit of pearl dust on it, and we just applied it right to the chocolate, the covering. We didn't have to add any moisture or anything. It'll just stick right to it. But I just wanted to show you how easy it is to mold with this product. That's beautiful.
Thank you. I'm going to add one more petal, and then I think we're ready to shine it up and place it on
And how do you
our
normally
cake.
attach roses like this to a cake?
You know, depending on placement, but 99% of the time, just good old crusting buttercream.
Just buttercream.
Buttercream. In fact, that's what I have today to use. In my shop, I just kind of keep it ready to go and use it as glue for almost anything magic chocolate. Now, how I finish the rose is what I'll do is this excess at the base,
right?
I just cut it off using scissors or whatever you're comfortable using, and then it'll just sit nice and flush, and
reuse it.
Half of my next rose right there.
Right.
So I think you have some luster dust
I do.
there.
I do have some pearl dust here.
Perfect. Pearl dust is...
And Amber doesn't cover the entire thing. She's just sort of doing highlights, and it sort of gives it that dewy look, which I really, really like. Perfect.
Okay. And then I'm just going to attach this, like I said, just using a little bit of buttercream.
Beautiful.
There we go.
Now, whether you make the roses by hand like Amber did, or whether you use a cutter, that is a super easy cake to make. I mean, really anybody, any beginner could make a cake like that, and that's a pretty impressive cake to give someone for a birthday or for whatever occasion you're celebrating.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Amber. This has been so much fun to have you here and to show us how to use magic chocolate. Congratulations on developing a fabulous product that not only works beautifully, but tastes amazingly good. I'm Alan Tatro from Global Sugar Art. You can find all the magic chocolate supplies at Global Sugar Art. Thank you for watching and have a great day.